morning and welcome to the newspaper review on Morning Dew. This is Cactv and I am Modot Dominic.
Good morning, Nigerians. My name is Oladipo.
Okay, so before we go on a quick break, we'll be taking the headlines making the news around the globe, and also we'll be having the quote for the day. So stay tuned. Shortly after this break, we'll be right back. Yes, welcome back from that quick break. So quickly we'll take a look at the Bible verse that we have for the day. So today our verse for the day is taken from the book of Psalm 86 verse 11, and it says, "Teach me your ways, O Lord, that I may live according to your truth. Grant me purity of heart, that I may honor you." I take it again. "Teach me your ways, O Lord, that I may live according to your truth. Grant me purity of heart, that I may honor you." This should be our request. This should be our guide always, that God should grant us purity of heart, that God should teach us and lead us in his truth, because when we walk in the precepts of his truth, then we'll always get it right. And when God grants us the purity of heart, we will not have any means to have things that would bother our heart all the time. When God gives you purity of heart, you know that you live with everyone in one accord. So today I urge you that you ask the Lord to grant you the purity of heart, and may we live according to his truth today. And that's it for the quote for the day. So let's take a look at the newspaper review that we have. So starting today is with the Punch newspaper as usual. So the first story that we have here says multiple taxation. Tinubu panel asks government to drop 190 taxes. OPS blames state. The president endorses tax reforms. Panel to address FEC. FIRS pledges implementation. In a move to eliminate multiple taxation, the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform has proposed the stoppage of 190 taxes choking businesses in the country. The panel presented its quick win report to the President Bola Tinubu, who endorsed its far-reaching recommendation on tax and fiscal policies during a brief ceremony at the presidential villa in Abuja. That was on Tuesday. So the story further says that the OPS lamented that multiple taxes had compounded the rising of production cost, leading to reduced profit margin, supply and disruptions, and also a reduction in consumers' spending, specifically in the telecommunication operation. Complained that the sector was one of the most taxed in the country, with over 40 tax directed at the telecom firm. Okay, so it's for us to have this story. coming up, it means that taxes has really been choking the masses. As at yesterday, one time, where we have business women selling pure water was complaining of how much they collect from them. Meanwhile, they don't outrightly name it tax, but the fact that they pay daily dues means that they are being taxed for, so imagine someone who is struggling to make ends meet paying 700 naira daily for selling pure water, for hawking pure water, for crying out loud. So it is very important that we take a look at this. So Engineer Ola, what's your take?
Now you see, when you look at it, it's the civic duty of the populace, as Nigerian citizens, to pay tax. Tax is very essential for the government to generate income, and then from this income, the government will be able to, perform our obligations. But when you look at it again, on the other hand, we are talking about multiple taxation. It does not exist only in the government environment. What about private environment too?
Okay, so fortunately, I'll cut you there. So let's go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at that story.
Like I was saying, it is it's a civic duty of every citizen of the country to pay tax. From this payment, we're going to be able to perform all our obligations. And there's another thing again, is that not only in the government sector that we have this problem of double taxations. Apart from the government agents, taking different types of taxes from people, what about the private sector too? For example, transport tax. Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers. There are lots of touts on the road that collect levies from motorists every day. That is one of the main reasons why transportation fare in Lagos especially is on the high side, because of this multiple taxation. If a motorist gets to Oshodi, he has to drop some money.
It starts from the park.
So, as these agents are working on multiple taxation, to also extend this to private sectors, to the transporters. Maybe the government will now tell all these agro boys to be off the road. If you have to collect taxes from these people, these motorists, it has to be done in all the garages, not on the roads. This will be able to reduce the levy, and the cost of transportation will come down.
It's supposed to be a one-pay thing.
Yes, it's supposed to be a one-pay thing.
Constant pay for every ride.
It's too rampant. Anywhere you go, especially the Okada riders too, they have to force the Marwa riders to, they force them to pay taxes. This is becoming unbecoming. So it's a very good step that the government is taking now, that okay, we want to drop about 190 taxes, and then we want to stop multiple taxations. Because if you are a shop owner, okay, I know a man who was working, as a civil servant, and he said, when I retire, I'm going to start pure water business. When he retired, he started it. After 3 years, the business was booming and everything was fantastic. But when the problem of multiple taxation came into the picture, the man ran bankrupt. He was unable to collect money again, the loan again from the bank, because of this multiple taxes. It's a very good step that the government has taken. I just hope that there will be a very good monitoring. Exactly. It's not a matter of saying, oh, we want to stop multiple taxation, and you see that from the corner again, what people are paying again is more than what they're supposed to be paying. It's a very good step in a very good direction.
All right, so we'll take a look at the next story that we have. This says Labour wants FG over delayed MOU. threatens strike. The organized labor has expressed dissatisfaction with the slow pace of implementation of the Memorandum of Understanding it signs with the federal government to avert its planned nationwide strike. The state chapter of the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress said failure to implement the agreement before October 30 deadline might leave them with no choice but to down tolls, noting that they had commenced mobilization of their members across the country. Asked on Tuesday whether Labour was satisfied with the implementation of the MOU, the head of Information and Public Affairs of the NLC, Benson Uba, said, "No, we are not. The government could do better and faster. We issued a statement a few days ago in which we expressed our displeasure with the Minister of Labour and Employment." So moving further still on that story, we also have that the national leadership of the NLC and TUC had on October 1st reached an agreement with the federal government to pay 35,000 naira to all federal workers beginning from September, pending when a new national minimum wage would be signed into law. The union had threatened to declare a nationwide strike on October 3rd, but the move was suspended on the condition that the wage award, cash transfer, and some other resolutions must be implemented within 30 days, effective from the day the MOU was signed. Okay, so it's so sad to see that we're coming back to a point where Labour is also threatening to go on a strike again, seeing that the government is being slow to react on the agreements that they signed together. So, Engineer.
Well, this matter is becoming, it's saying that foul is fair, fair is foul, the good and the bad are confused, there's an evil effect. Labour, they want to go on strike. And we know the situational problem of Nigerians are today economically. Of course, I will not say the Labour should not go on strike. I will not say they should go on strike. But one thing I know is that this government, the government of today in Nigeria, it is spending, there are lots of excessive spending that are not supposed to be. When you purchase cars for the legislators of such magnitude, of such amount of money, and then Nigerian Labour Congress is now requesting for 35,000 minimum pay for a worker. How do you justify this? You understand? If you want to curb expenses, it has to start from the government officials. It's leadership by example. What Labour is saying that there's too much hardship in the country. There are lots of problems in the country. We don't understand the situation of Nigerian petroleum price. Every day you see the fuel will become scarce. They will change the price tomorrow. They will not change the price. The government will say we are not changing, we are not increasing the fuel price. The other marketer will say we cannot continue like this. We have to increase. It's not our fault. Somebody will come out and tell us that okay, this is the price with the NNPC is supplying them gas, and this is the price they are selling it. There are some cabals.
Basically, no one is taking the blame.
No one is taking the blame. All these things are full of with excuses. If the government wants to implement at 5,000 naira, they should do so on time. If they don't want to do it, let us know they don't want to do it. Now, because I don't understand all this rigmaroling that is taking place now in the country. No one can precisely tell you that tomorrow morning they will not increase the fuel price, or tomorrow morning they will increase the price. Nobody can tell you that okay, convincingly that this 35,000 naira minimum payment will be made has come to stay. Nobody can say this. And again, now the federal government is now, people are now appealing to the state government. You have to follow. This is only for the federal civil servant workers. And one thing is that in the country today, how many private companies can afford to pay 35,000 naira minimum wage? today. How many of them can afford to do this today? I do not understand
that the deceased died of alleged torture by the assassinated, who tied him his hands and mouth and also subsequently beaten him to death. He said that the incident happened at Orcon Street, which is a city in Philippines. He also further disclosed, which is the deceased friend, also further disclosed to the correspondent that the issue began around October 19 and was premised upon the demand for commission for Chibuikem's girlfriend, who is a Philippine. There was a heated argument among the deceased, his girlfriend, and the head of the company, who happened to be a Chinese woman. The argument was because of the commission Chibuikem's girlfriend was supposed to get. Okay, so the friend also told the reporter that according to him, the matter later degenerated when the vehicles came to the premises and the occupants took Chibuikem away, claiming they were taking him to the police station for constituting a nuisance. It was later discovered by the deceased allies that Chibuikem was not taken to the station, according to his friend. A bus later came and dropped the student at the front of the police station with his hands tied and scars all over his face. Chibuikem was later pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital. This story further disclosed. So this is so sad that we are having a report of this coming in, and I hope that judgment is being passed accordingly. Having to see that a Nigerian medical student in Philippines is having to go through situations like this, being beaten by 6 Chinese is a lot. One would barely even survive being tied mouth and hand, beaten by 3, let alone 6 Chinese. Engineer, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, this has come back again to the role of Nigerian government. In every foreign country of the world, if you are a student in that country, the first step is to register yourself in that country. And I know by law, by right, this late Nigerian student will have registered himself in the country that I'm studying medicine in this country. That is for the government to know his whereabouts, how he's faring, everything about his welfare. It's about studies and be able to monitor his movement. But from this news now, I cannot see the role of Nigerian embassy here. I don't know what Nigerian embassy is doing at all about this. The news is telling us that the police in Philippines, they have arrested these people and they are taking them to court. That is to find out what really happened. What is the role of Nigerian embassy in Philippines?
Meanwhile,
So
they were
in
supposed to be
Manila.
the first person
So
to step into
I
this
think
case.
Nigerian embassy in Manila should look into the matter and find out what really happened between the Nigerian medical student and these Chinese people in Manila. We don't have to keep quiet and be watching. We believe that Nigerian embassy in Philippines were supposed to have gotten this news ahead of anybody, but the news is not coming directly from Nigerian embassy. So I believe Nigerian embassy in Manila should take it up and do something to protect Nigerian students. And again, Nigerian students who are studying outside the country, you have to be very, very careful, because you cannot say, because this is not your country, and the same amenities we have in Nigeria, the same enjoyment, the same freedom you have in Nigeria, is not the same freedom you have in Philippines, because there's no way they would still treat you as a foreigner. And you should always put it at the back of your mind that I am a foreigner, I'm sojourning in this country, I am a sojourner in this country, I am not a citizen of Philippines, so I have to mind my business. Now you are now going outside your own educational system, now fighting for your girlfriend to receive a commission in our own country. We don't want to go into that matter because somebody is dead. Yes. So we have to pity the person who went there to study, but now unfortunately for him, he's dead. But again, going outside your educational system. Medicine is not a simple thing. Yes, now, and you have time to go out and start fighting for your girlfriend's commission.
If he had died for his own case, that would have
it's a
been
different
understood.
ballgame entirely. And at the end of the day, you may not marry this girl. So maybe the news we are hearing now is not the real genuine news. Maybe the real news is hidden, but we cannot know anything about this until we get something coming from the Nigerian embassy in Manila.
All right, thank you for shedding more light to that. So we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take further stories making headlines around the globe. Please stay tuned. Welcome back from that quick break, and thank you so much for staying tuned. So we'll take a look at the next story that we have from Vanguard newspaper, and this says Nigeria needs $10 billion annual to fund SDGs. Federal government says for Nigeria to attain a sustainable development goal, the SDG leader in both private and public sector must collaborate in the implementation of the set goals. This comes as the federal government FG estimates the funding requirement for the goal to be attained at about 10 billion naira annually, $10 billion annually. Meanwhile, Governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, said there is too much wastage in the government, especially at the federal level, stressing that unless waste is eliminated, the nation will be in a deeper trouble achieving the SDGs. Okay, speaking at the just concluding 29th edition of the Nigerian Economic Summit, is a panel session titled Half Point 220 2030, rethinking the strategy towards achieving the SDGs. Leader in both private and public sector advocated for strict adherence to fiscal responsibility and publication in innovative ideas to achieve success. They said it is imperative to assess the national strategy, find out progress made towards the SDGs, and also ascertain the various challenges hindering the success. Okay, so Engineer Ola.
Well, the idea is good. What about follow up? It's a very good thing. And for the government to say, okay, we need 10 billion naira annually for the sustainable development goals. Fine, it's a good thing. They have said that. But would they follow it up? And then if one of the governors is saying that the reckless spending of the federal government, what about the state government too? The reckless spending. If you are not conservative in spending, if you are not prudent in spending, that anything you see you buy, you are happy, go, lucky fellow. It takes life as it comes. Look at the vehicles they bought for the federal government legislatives, and then you want to put money for sustainable development to go.
How achievable?
How you going to achieve this? So you have to cut your coat according to the size of your clothes. If you buy clothes of 5 years, you have to cut your coat according to the size of the clothes you purchased. So it's a good advice, but like what one of them has said, that the excessive spending of the federal government, and also this is applicable to the state government too, they spend money anyhow. So if they can curb their spending and follow the expenses diligently, they will achieve something. Because this amount of money they are talking about, 10 billion naira annually, $10 billion annually, is a loan. No, they are taking loan from a foreign company. No, and what is going to be the consequential effect of this loan they are taking? Dollar will rise, exchange rate will rise, the economic the what do we call it, inflation rate in the country will rise. Will also rise because they are taking loan again. This is another way of looking for a way to take loan. And when they take the loan, what do they, what happens to the loan? Only God knows. So if what they are saying is what they are doing, we will not have any problem at all in the country. My only advice is that whatever you say you want to do is what you should do.
And then it should be followed up.
And it should be followed up, monitored properly.
All right, taking a look at the next story that we have still on Vanguard, and this says presidential poll, INEC must probe why upload of elections to IRVs failed, says Jega. A former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, yesterday insisted that the commission must probe why the upload of the presidential poll results to the INEC results viewing portal was failed. Jega stated this while speaking in an interview on one of the TV stations that we have. He also said that the former INEC chief, which is Jega, said he could relate to many of the challenges faced during the general election. He said, and if you are so confident with the planning process and at the end of it all there is a failure somewhere, you will take the blame because you are a leader. I so much love that statement. But it does not mean that you are the one who is deliberately doing whatever it is because you are because you compromised. You need to be fair in we need to be fair, he said. We need to be fair in our assessment. Okay, so coming for this to come out from one of the former INEC president that we have, or chairman that we have, it shows that there is so much to be done and there's so much question to be asked around this. You know, having to go after the election that we had, and there was so much chaos coming out from it, and people had to have issues with failed upload and results, and then now coming out with this saying that you need to be fair. Someone has to take blame, like we said earlier. If we keep pushing blames, cautioning blames around, and then there is no action taken to this, then there is so much that we need to pay attention to. Engineer Ola.
No, in a country where you must appreciate what people do, and at the same time you must learn how to condemn what is wrong. Jega, being the former INEC chairman, has come up to say, well, I cannot say every fault is yours, but being a leader of INEC, you have to come out and say, okay, I accept the responsibility. When he was the chairman of INEC, did he accept responsibility for some failures? No, it's very easy to apportion blame to people. You know, if you know you don't have anything to say, the best thing for you is to keep quiet. You know, it's a matter of, I have said it severally, that, you know, the basket the basket that contains a wine bottle, accusing the bottle that oh, you are a drunkard. You know, who is protecting the bottle? Who is the carrier of the bottle? Who is protecting the bottle? It is the basket. You know, in a situation like this, if you don't have anything to say, it's a matter. So keep quiet. This man has come up to say this is the reason why that we were unable to upload on the set day. This is the reason technically. This is what we have to examine and look at its fault. is he lying or saying the truth? Now, okay, you are now saying that, okay, being the leader, you have to accept, because you are the leader, that although maybe you are compromised by some people, but you have to take the blame. And in our country, the moment you take the blame, everybody will point a finger that, oh, you are guilty.
Yes, you were really at fault.
You are really at fault. You did not handle the election very well. People have been saying lots of things. So we have to be very careful in whatever we are saying on TV. Otherwise, when they quote you, you'll be surprised that this is not what I mean. This is what I mean by saying this.
Well, but it's so sad because people now have the fear of coming out to cast their vote if next by the next election, if people would eventually make it out to cast their votes because of what happened in the last election. And my question now is, how do we cushion this effect? How do we make sure that it is not just about the INEC, it's also about us? We also have role to play, because there is no success without both parties coming together.
Now you can see that in this history of Nigerian election, the pattern is changing now. That is no longer that somebody is called in 80% or 90% and 10%. The pattern has really changed. Things are coming up progressively, and over time we'll be able to see that, okay, the electoral process in Nigeria will change, and it will be like that of US and other advanced countries of the world. That all these litigations will be reduced, to the drastic minimum drastic level, but as at now, it's like we have a new idea that we are experimenting. Over time we'll be able to manage it. It is changing. It is not as it was before, when we have landslide victory in some areas, or people will vote 10 times, 15 times. I think it's changing.
But in a situation like this, it's not. For me, I believe that it's not the best place to experiment things, because when we say that, we are actually bringing up something to cushion effect of having to have a long-term counting, keeping people await on the queue. Just go there, do your thumbprint, and then we'll have it counted electronically. It was just to make sure that the workload is being eased, and then we have a fair and credible election. So would you say that this is also a good thing that can be implemented in the next phase of election?
Now you see, there are certain things we have to take into consideration before we make opinion on this matter. When you are talking about electronic voting, and you want it to be live 24 hours, that means there's certain infrastructure that has to be on ground. For example, you need internet, that is a reliable internet, undulating internet, that internet that will not go off, that the moment whatever you do will go live, will be registered, will go to the server immediately in every location. Are we prepared for this? No, we should not come up and say technically we are prepared, we can do this, when these things are not in place. There are some places where when you vote, there's no light. And when there's no light, how do you power your internet? And you are not on solar. You don't have alternative energy. There are so many things we have to take into consideration technically, so that when we go to court, we will not be defeated technically. You know very well that I'm telling you that, okay, tomorrow we are going to vote, and I'm going to broadcast it live on TV. Everybody will see it, and when you go to the INEC portal, you'll be able to see the result. When my internet is not there, when I don't have the hardware to do that, that's what I'm saying, that we are progressing. Let us say Nigerian communication satellite we have a satellite for, okay, this satellite is what we are using for INEC.
Exactly.
If there's any failure, we'll now talk to the satellite provider. They will tell us, no, we were ready and everything was intact, it was the INEC. But now we don't have that, so INEC can say it is the internet. The internet provider, who is the internet provider? Nigerian communication satellite. NIGCOMSAT, what would they say? They also give us their own excuse. So until when we get to that stage that, okay, every department is saying we are ready, I cannot say I'm ready when my other departments that I rely on are not ready. So until when we get to that situation, so the government that is monitoring the election will say, okay, every department that is involved in this electioneering campaign, electioneering voting, every department is ready. Then the government will say, I'm ready. It's not a matter of saying I am ready when I'm not ready. Nigerian will say, the president will say, you said you are ready. But he knew when he was saying is ready, he was not ready. Somebody would have said to him, okay, you are not ready. Why are you saying you are ready when these 3 departments that you rely on are not ready? So this is what really happened. So, but over time, whenever we will know where to put our money. Another election is coming. We want to monitor this election live. All the television channels will be ready. Okay, we'll broadcast live. Then every polling unit, they will have lights, either a standby generator, either solar or national grid. Then we'll have internet facilities available. Then the server is ready. Then nobody will say we cannot upload, we cannot vote live. So even somebody in the village, even in America, anywhere in the world, will be able to monitor the election.
All right, okay, so we'll look at the last story that we have from the Vanguard newspaper, and this says 4 female TASWET students raped by suspected armed robbers. The incident, it was gathered, happened in the early hours of Tuesday at Ababawa. Details about the incident were sketchy at the time of filing this report. However, the Ogun State Deputy Governor, Engineer Noimot Saleko Oyedele, in a post on her Instagram handle, Noimot Oyedele confirmed the incident. Salako Oyedele said she paid a visit to the school management students and the victim of the incident, who were said to be currently receiving treatment at the Olabisi Onabanjo University Teaching Hospital, Shagamu. The deputy governor of the Post wrote earlier today, after receiving the distressing news about the armed robbers at some TASWET students' hostel and the brutal rape of 4 female students, His Excellency Prince Dapo Abiodun Kon directed me to immediately visit the victims and the campus on a fact-finding mission, and to pledge the government's support in ensuring that this does not happen again. And I'm wondering, how did we get to a point where armed robbers go into an hostel and rape students? Because before you have access, before you can go into a portal, an hostel, you go through the portal, and the portal we always have securities who guard the hostel. So how, because when I read this story, I'm like, how did this happen? So does it mean that they did no longer have portal securities in the portal entrance or in the hostel entrance? Because I remember, I know that for some hostels, there's how it's being built. It's being built in a way where before you enter, they will ask you, where is your ID card? So how did this? I'm just. It's so sad that this is happening to the young ones out there, and I'm still wondering, how did we get to a point like this, Engineer Ola?
I will ask you a question. This hostel, is it a hostel in that is the school's hostel or outside the campus hostel?
Well, it is said that it is this TASWET. That's this TASWET, the student. So meaning that, okay, wait, maybe that I can't answer if it is the school hostel or outside the school hostel. But so many questions surrounding this, right?
That is just it. Because when you say armed robbers, they broke into an hostel, into a hostel, and then many students were raped. Those people that went to the hostel, were they real armed robbers?
So for you to be called an hostel, Engineer Ola, an hostel is because that place is called an hostel because it is in a school. So if it was to be a rented apartment outside the school, it will be stated. It will be stated. So it is called an hostel because it is the school. It is in the school premises.
Look. Let's be sincere to ourselves. It is very, very difficult. For a hostel that is located in the school premises, that such thing will happen. Very, very. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm saying it's very difficult. That is, if they are armed robbers, because we have seen occasions where we have some visitors in female hostels sleeping. I know somebody who has slept in a female hostel before.
But the thing is, that
So,
means
no, so what I'm saying,
there is
no,
no
what I'm
security
saying,
being followed
what I'm
up.
saying
Because in a
is
female
that,
hostel, excuse me, sir, in a female hostel, a male is not permitted to enter because
Yes.
the security at the entrance will ask you, where are you going? That's why it's called female hostel.
yes, but in some cases we have hostels located outside the campuses, many of them, and they will say affiliated to this school, and the hostel may be porous. There may be no security at all. Only Baba that will give some money to. I want to go and see somebody. Go in, don't be late.
Then that is where follow-up should come. Even if an hostel is being affiliated,
this matter is supposed to be scrutinized now by the government. That we want to know what really happened. What can we do to prevent such occurrence? Where is this hostel located? Is it in the campus or outside the campus? But what made the hostel to be vulnerable to armed robbers to burgle the hostel? They should find out. This information, because in the university of today, even in University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, most of Nigerian universities, in the female hostels they have male visitors, and that's not supposed to be. You understand? And so this fault, we can't say the armed robbers are 100% guilty. What about those females that are living in the hostel? If you leave your door ajar 12 o'clock in the night, anybody can enter and do whatever he wants to do. There should be security in our schools. Today we are talking about rapists. What about kidnappers? We have to be very careful. Security, we must provide security in all our hostels. Even if it's a private hostel outside the campus, there must be enough security. And there must be rules that, okay, student, you are allowed to go out between this time and this period. And if any visitor, your visitor must not exceed this particular point. Not a matter of these female students abusing the rules of the hostel. And now they are talking about armed robbers. When you look really straight into the matter, you realize that there's some foul place.
Okay, I really want to believe that it is not an hostel that was situated in the school, because if it is, then there is so much questioning, there is so much cautioning that needs to be taking place, that needs to be cautioned to the leaders of the school, because I know that there is always discipline, there is always a disciplinary committee set aside for cases like this. We've been to school before and we know how these things work. In a standard school where there is security, where there is follow-up, where you have supervision, things like this do not happen. If you have, during the day, they have timing where people can come and visit. They have timing where you cannot go and visit anymore. So by that time, before you even come in as a female student, you show your ID card. No, even if you're a female, you have to show your ID card, and until your ID card is being seen with you, you're not going in. So we also need to, the government really need to take a look at this and make sure that something is being done to this, to make sure that we don't have cases like this occurring. The essence why parents send their children to school is for them to go and have a better life education, and not come back with traumatized issue as such. Okay, so we'll quickly go on a break, and when we come back, we'll look at the story that we have in the Sun newspaper. Please stay tuned. welcome back from that quick break, and thank you so much for staying tuned with us on Cactv. And this is still the newspaper review on Morning Dew. Okay, so we have the last story. We have the last newspaper review to do, which is taken from the Sun newspaper. And the first story that we have from the Sun says ground rent debts. Wike issues fresh threats, vow to step on toes. He actually said this when he started, when he was being commissioned, that he's going to step on toes regardless of whoever it is. So Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, yesterday called on the defaulters of ground rent debts to immediately take steps to offset their outstanding liabilities. He said at the end of the 2-week grace period, he would match his words and actions by revoking such your plots. Wike stated this in Abuja at separate meeting with the President, Nigerian Union of Journalists (NUJ), Chris Izokuzo, and the Canadian High Commissioner to Nigeria, James Crisford, cautioning those who think his utterances border on pretense of bravery, otherwise called initial gragra in local parlance. Okay, Wike said at the end of the ultimatum for payment, something will happen. Speaking when he received the NUJ leadership, Wike said the era of abandonment projects in FCT was over. And truly, we have a lot of abandoned properties anyways. He said abandonment of projects as far as the FCT is concerned is a thing of the past. This would not have been possible without the persistent existing, with the president in exiting us from the Tuesday single account. As I speak with you, I can tell you how much we have been able to save from the internally generated revenue. There will be continuous funding of Federal Capital Territory administrative projects, says Wike. Okay, so with the initial gra like they said in our local language, that is actually trying to put up, for me, I believe that this is actually a good thing to do, because we have people who have abandoned projects, and then just because they can't pay, if you know that you can't pay for a property, you now sell it out and make your money, and make sure that you don't just have abandoned projects everywhere. But the way to go about it, or how he goes about it, is actually what I think people are actually bothered about. So, Engineer Ola.
So what Wike is saying here is that every agency of the government is making money. But you know, when he's talking about grant rent debt, you know, there are lots of lands that are not developed in Abuja, not only in Abuja, in every state of Nigeria. Lots of lands are not developed. They are abandoned because they believe I'm a government, nobody can take it back away from me. Anytime I have money, I work on it. So Wike, what he's saying here is that, okay, you have to pay your grant rent on those facilities. If you don't,
whether you're building it or not,
either you're building it or not, if you don't, government will take over the property. So people are saying, oh, that this man has come with his grant, but he has given them
an
ultimatum that at the end of this period, we took over this land from you, and nothing will happen. And again, he's now attributing that because of this treasury single account that the federal government has been operating, that otherwise that they have been able to generate lots of IGR, internally generated fund that they will be able to use to develop this land. That at the end of the tenure, if you don't pay up your grant rent, we'll take over the land from you. And you know Wike very well. He's a man of his words. That is what he's going to do. He doesn't care what will happen. Whoever it is, that is what he will do. So to anybody who has property in Abuja that is involved, you should go about, look for money, pay your grant rent, so that it does not confiscate your land though. And you see, one thing about this the IGR and has to do with treasury single account. When the government said we should be using treasury single account, it was for the benefit of Nigeria, so that we don't have about 1,000 accounts for a ministry. That so many accounts are unaccounted for. That money is going to those accounts will not be accounted for. They will disappear. They will tell you, the money was eaten by snake. But that is the reason why we have treasury single account. But we is now faulting that policy again, that we have enough IGR that we have generated, but this IGR will now go again to this single treasury account. I will not be able to withdraw the money for any project. So the government has to look into that if every amount of money is coming into the treasury single account, then how do you disperse the money back to that agency so that they can perform their duty effectively?
Well, it's very important that is being taken note of and being looked into, so that there won't be, this mango and say that there is nobody, there is one cabal that is responsible and nobody is going to voice out on
everything
it.
Is cabal.
I think it's a cabal season now.
Everything is cabal.
All right, so we'll take a look at the last story that we have for today, and this says impeachment. Ondo Deputy Governor counters Assembly. Ondo State Deputy Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa has countered a recent letter written by the House of Assembly to the Chief Judge Odushola, where the former asked the CJ to constitute a panel to investigate the allegation of gross misconduct leveled against Ayedatiwa. In a 7-page letter written by his lead counsel, Ebun Olu Adegboruwa, dated October 24th, he urged the CJ to disregard the letter. The Assembly had, in a letter signed by the House Speaker, asked the CJ to constitute a panel to investigate the Deputy Governor in line with the Constitution, claiming that the orders of injunction granted by the Federal High Court Abuja had expired. By the Deputy Governor punctured the position of the Assembly, which he said it was based on conjecture, misconception, and also inconstituency under the desperation and misconstruction of the law. He also said that he ordered grant by the Federal High Court Abuja on September 26th of September 2023, where he still forced and remain valid by subsisting, contrary to the conclusion of the Assembly that the order had expired by the operation of law. So Engineer, I'll let you take that.
No, you see, it boils down again to our politicians. This is a fight between the governor and the deputy governor, and the assembly, state assembly, is taking side. So, like I used to say, I do not like to comment on politicians' matter, because they know how to create problems for themselves, and they know how to resolve their problems. So I just pray that the Ondo State government should resolve the problem between the governor and the deputy governor, so that there will be progress of work in Ondo State. That's my opinion.
All right, on this note, this is where we call it a wrap on today's newspaper review on Morning Dew. Thank you so much for always staying tuned to CSC TV, and thank you so much for always making sure that you follow us up. So on this note, we say thank you so much for joining us. So we'll come your way, same time, same station tomorrow. Make sure you have a lovely and fantastic day ahead. I remain Modot Dominic.
My name is Ola Oladipo.
And together we say, be Nigeria, by Nigeria.